If you don't believe in God, I mean, you're on your own. It's survival of the fittest, and resources are limited, and you are alone with your choices. And I think that's what's going on today, honey, with society. Because we were just talking about it on our earlier Zoom in Spanish about the World War II generation, the same generation that went through the Great Depression. When they came out of that generation, they then came the baby boomers, right? It was a boom of people having kids. There was a lot of hope, and that was the first generation that was called the me generation, the self-centered generation. That's when the term of the American dream had been coined, just the previous decade, and it was the first self-centered generation with parents, because they went through such hard times. They wanted to protect their kids from anything, and I saw that growing up in Mexico. Whenever there was a family that had gone through really hard times, and for the first time in their lives they experienced a little bit of abundance, we tend to want to protect our kids and make sure that they need nothing, right? So we become obsessed with safety, with not having any need whatsoever. And now we have, after the baby boomers, we have the Gen X, then we have the millennials, and now we're having the Z generation from the year 2000 on. We have several generations that we're just focused on our own fulfillment.
Right, because so many times it's the struggle that builds character in our lives. So if our kids never have to struggle, or if we try to make it so they don't have to struggle, they end up having bigger struggles, I guess, because they have a lack of character. It's a real thing.
Yeah, and whenever I talk to a successful person, I ask them, what's your strategy to duplicate struggle so that your kids are strong? We're going to give you tips on the next episodes on how to raise children from time they're babies to the time they're teenagers. There are different challenges on every phase. But first of all, we wanted to address this question. Should you even have kids in today's environment? And people are not wanting to have kids. They're not wanting to get married. They want to live together. And then once they get married, they will wait really long to have kids.
I think the value has been diminished in being a mother and having children. I think it starts there, at least from what I see. We don't value motherhood. We don't see it as a mission. It's something with purpose that we're designed to take on. This adventure, this mission of motherhood. And so we just see it as something that's disrupting our lives and our real purpose, which is going to be outside of our home.
Yes.
And not that we do have purpose outside of the home, but we've given less value to raising our children, and I think that's a lot of it. So in a culture, we're focused on ourselves and our own success. If we don't see being a mom as successful, then we want to go outside of that. And we are told you can do it all, right? And so I think a lot of women just think, I'm going to wait. I'm going to be successful in my career first. And then we just see problems too. So many women waiting, and then first they wait to get married, and then they can't find a husband. Then they wait to have children, and then they can't get pregnant. That happens too.
Yeah, and a couple of issues today with poor nutrition affecting your system. That's one. And the second one, there's an increasing number of young girls that are being put on contraceptives. And then think about what it does to your system. 10, 15 years. Your system has been thinking that it was pregnant for a while. I don't know all the details of how contraceptives work, but then at the end, when you're ready to have kids in your own mind, your body may not be ready. So don't take it for granted. Don't think that, just when I'm ready, I will.
Right.
I will have them.
I'm not trying to paint a scary picture here, like you can't wait. We're just saying sometimes we don't think about the consequences of waiting. And I even read a study, this was years ago, about women with breast cancer and how it's more and more women are having breast cancer. And they were showing that the percentage of women who don't have breast cancer, or the odds are very low that they would get breast cancer, were those that had children at a younger age and who breastfed their babies. And but you don't hear people talking about that.
Yeah.
Talk about preventing cancer, but don't talk about have babies, when you're young.
Yeah, what about fostering just a healthy way of living, and also a strategic way of living? Because we're not saying that women should not aspire to do things outside of the home. No, we're just saying think strategically. If you, as a woman, you have a biological clock, you can wait to have kids, and maybe you have one, maybe two kids, if you can still do it later on, and you got to do some things in your 20s, because our society today says the best years of your life is when you're young. But what about later? What if you decide to run the strategy in a different direction? What if you start a family when you're still young, and then you get to have a lot of energy to help them grow up and grow up with them and enjoy life with them, and then you're still young to do a lot of stuff. I mean, we have our kids, our oldest is 26, and our youngest one is 12. And I think that in the next couple of years, the 13 and 12-year-olds are just going to go into a new phase of independence. They're just starting right now with their teenage years. That is going to allow us to do a lot of things together the way we used to do them years ago. And we still have a lot of time and energy to do it together.
Prime time.
Yeah. So why not be more strategic about it? And maybe you're going to go against the culture where they're going to look at you as, that's all you want to do as a woman, to just have kids. I would say that is the most important profession that a woman can aspire to raise the next generation. So we're going to talk about the 3 lies, and we're only going to cover one of them during this episode. There are 3 lies, 3 myths of our culture, and the first myth is that, as you mentioned earlier, family is a burden. And it comes from a mindset of poverty, a scarcity mindset. The truth is that family is a blessing, which comes from an abundance mentality. Now, let's talk about Psalm 127. If you do believe in God, you can be certain that you can have abundance, because the creator of the universe is your provider.
You're talking about the myth of children being a burden, right? In particular, yes. Family, but children. And children are a blessing.
So let's go ahead. Can you read Psalm 127?
Yeah, Psalm 127. Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain. In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for he grants sleep to those he loves. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from him. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. They will not be put to shame when they contend with their opponents in court.
So this is really interesting because it's a very short psalm. And one of the rules for biblical interpretation is to look at the historical grammatical context of a passage. So since we know that context determines meaning, this psalm is divided in 2. And can you turn that plug in so it won't die? Thank you. So the first half of the psalm says, no, you have to just go ahead and plug it in. You're gonna have to see it. You see this? Just follow that. And plug. Oh, it's not charging. I don't know why. Oh no! I don't know why. Oh, now it is. The connection was not working.